Alright, so I see a lot of questions about JB Water Weld. Also a lot of questions about, will this silicone work? Will that silicone work? What about this instead of JB Weld? I've heard JB Weld's hard to work with. And I'm gonna stand behind John on this one, that none of the other alternatives have been tested long term. JB Water Weld, through John's extensive research and trial and error himself, that's what he recommends, and that's what I use. So I wanted to put a video together on how I use the JB Water Weld. It's not fun to work with, but maybe some of these little tips will make it easier for you. I see comments that it's not the most prettiest thing in the world when it's done, and it's not, but let's be realistic. What we're using these cold plunge tubs for, it's not a showcase, it's not something you're inviting guests over to use, things like that. It's more what works long term versus what's easier to apply. So we'll get started. First thing I did was you open it up and never mix the full tube. When I did my conversion, I did about a quarter. So I made little marks, half, and then half of that, half of that. For this little test, I'm going to do even less because I'm just doing it for this test, or for this video. So remove the end paper. I'm going to save it because I'm going to put this back together. And you can save this. I've opened it back up and used a little chunk to fix a piece of PVC on the RV, things like that. So I get a disposable knife. I'm just gonna cut off just a little piece, just so I can get the two-part mixture. Then I'm gonna wrap it back up quick here. Put it back in the tube here. Like I said, that two-part putty is gonna be good. Maybe not a couple years, but it's okay. I couldn't find the gloves that I used, but I did do some of this without gloves. It's not fun. It just gets sticky. It gets a little messy. Again, you start kneading it. As soon as it starts, those two parts start mixing together, it'll get a little warm, but it also gets real pliable, real soft. So as I'm doing it, see, I got a spray bottle. I just spray a little bit. It's got water in it. It does two things. It helps soften up the JB Weld a little bit, and it prevents it from sticking to your gloves or sticking to your fingers. Right now it's not sticking. So as soon as you keep doing it more and more, it starts to get more sticky. So maybe add just a touch more. Just a little squirt. More to your fingers than to the JB Weld itself. And then what I do is, when I was doing my tub, I was mixing a quarter of a tube, but split it into little pieces. Then just start rolling them into, I do it with my palms. Kind of looks like a little joint. Tuck the ends in so it's kind of uniform. See, it's starting to get sticky on my hands again, so add some water. That's okay. Remake the mold. And then I just set it to the side. I got some parchment paper here. Put my hands again. I'll do the second piece. Now here I got a little bit longer piece. Again, I didn't take very much of the roll. And then what I would do, I wasn't in a hurry to get it into the joint because I learned it needed to set up just a little bit first. So let it sit a little bit. Wet my hands, wet my gloves again before I start touching it again. Got a piece of wood here with I just put a cut in it. using that as my joint that I'd be sealing in my tub. So grab the piece that you wanted to do, lay it in that joint. If your fingers stick to it, wet them. As you see, it's not sticking, but I'm able to push it into there. Wetting it a little bit also makes it a little bit more uniform. You can slide your finger across it instead of just pushing. Once you get that piece in there good, either take the whole next piece or cut the next piece in half, lay it in there again, start pushing it. I'll just kind of go around the corner here. I wasn't worried about discoloration because I painted mine a blue. You can see there, that's the joint. You see that? There's my joint. Not sticking up too much, but really want to make sure that it was pushed down in there. Wet my finger again so I'm not sticking. Of course, you know, the wider the piece you lay down, the more chance you have of sealing it up. But you know, I was happy if I went 1/4 inch each side of the seam. You know, so I had a 1/2 inch joint. Got a little left over here again. I don't have another line there, but I can just start laying it down again. When you get to an end and it's got a little tail like that, I just pushed it back in and bunched it up. I always tried to end the joint, you know, when I was done, you know, either corner or something. But it's okay. It's okay to come back in and stop one day and start again. You know, you overlap it a little bit when you start doing it again, just to make sure it's sealed up good. Again, that's not the prettiest looking thing in the world here. But like I said, I really didn't care on looks. I got lots of mine inside my freezer that looks a lot worse than that. So I'll open up my freezer and show you guys some of it. But so again, I just got a spray bottle full of water, some parchment paper so it doesn't stick to it. Disposable plastic utensil. Like I said, I would wear some gloves, but a little water will go clean this off. Alright, so we'll look at some of my joints here. So you can see it's not completely uniform, but I know it's sealed and I put a lot in it. So over here to my vertical joint here that goes up and down, a little bit clean. It's harder to tell here now that I got the pond armor painted in here. I went with the competition blue. It's a darker blue. Over to this side here a little bit. A little bit more there, a little less there, a little bit more there. I have the 14.5 cubic foot freezer, and I used, I think, 18 or 19 tubes. I wasn't afraid to put the money in to do it, so hope this helps, guys.